Om Vasudevasutam Devam Kansachanuramartanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Towards the end of this fifth chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Geetā, Lord Krishna very appropriately advises all of us to begin very well with the necessary control of sense organs, of our emotions, so that the great further progress is not hindered by any kind of lack of preparedness. If we do not have that sense of moderation, if we do not restrain our speech or our thoughts that tend to go wild, then it is like we are failing in the basics of spiritual maturity. How can we hope for the greater flights into the metaphysical realizations? In that spirit we saw in the 22nd verse, the last class, Nateshu Ramate Buddhaha. Are you spiritually wise, Buddhaha, or are you unwise? The litmus test is given here. If we are wise, we would not take undue interest in seeking pleasures. We will not be unduly attached to just emotional issues. We will be able to rise above those matters. The focus in this especially was on sense pleasures. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga. Samsparsha, contact. Eyes come in contact with something beautiful. Ears come in contact with something melodious. All the sense organs have respective sense objects, and the contact between sense organs and sense objects can be a very big trap. And as we have said before, Bhagavad Gita does not advise absolutely keeping away from them. Rather, everybody, depending on their swadharma, the swadharma of sannyasis is different. The swadharma of grahasthas, brahmacharis, again is different. Knowing oneself well, understanding the level where one is, one has to decide. One has to know what one's limit is, and one should not cross one's limits. So, moderation is a universal principle, and as one advances, one may of course think of complete abstinence, avoiding all kinds of pleasures and so on. Naramate Buddha. Therefore, the wise one does not take pleasure in mundane sense objects. Those who do are Buddha, deluded, says Shankaracharya in his commentary, and he compares them, deluded human beings who are endlessly pursuing mere sense pleasure. He compares them with Vashu Prabhutina, animals in whose case it is not a fault. They do not have ability to think from broader perspectives. They go by what attracts their senses. Pashu Prabriti now. We are not Pashus, we are Manushya. Therefore, there is this clarion call to rise above the level of the sense objects. We continue today, and in 23rd verse, the same teaching continues. How those who are able to hold back desire and anger are so blessed. They indeed become truly happy. In 23 we have a verse which talks about restraining the habitual urges. Introducing it, Sri Shankaracharya says, Ayam cha shreyo marga pratipakshi kashtatamo doshaha sarvanartha prapti hetu durnivarascha iti tat parihare yatna adhikyam kartavyam itya Bhagavan. Another version says, Adhikataro yatna. Adhika means more. Therefore, more effort has to be put in to drive away, to dismiss the habitual urges. Your level today is higher, but some old habits try to pull you down to a lower level where you were at one time. Therefore, these habitual urges, either expressing as desiring sense pleasure or destructively getting angry, kama krodha. Bhagavan aha tat parihare yatna adhikyam. More effort needs to be put in to eliminate these habits which are not good for us. So the verse goes, Shaknoti haiva yasodhum raksharira vimokshanat kama krododbhavam vegam sayuktah sasukhi naraha. These are very motivational verses for people on the path, saying sayuktah sasukhi naraha. Sukhi means happy. Who under the sun does not want to be happy? Happiness is what all of us seek. And Gita says, if you wish to be happy, yuktaha, if you wish to be well integrated, then this is what you should do. Shaknoti, sodhum. Sodhum means sahanam kartu. Sahana is bearing with. An idea arises, we need to examine whether the idea is good or not. And if it is bad, we must restrain that idea. We must bear with this momentum that comes along with the idea and very nicely, very cleverly hold it back. If we are not skilled enough, these desire and anger will take us beyond desirable limits. Then we do something wrong. Then we do something for which, leave alone others, we ourselves have regrets later on. So, iha eva. Iha eva means, Sri Krishna himself explains in the verse itself. Here itself means before the body drops. Prak sharira vimokshana. And what are we to sodhum, sahanam kartum? What are we to bear with? Bear with and then gently give it a different direction. Control. Bring what under our control? Kama krodha udbhavam vegam. Vega is speed elsewhere. Here it is that momentum. Because a thought leads to another thought, and by association, we may allow memories to come, and then certain desire becomes too strong to handle. Same with anger. Kama krodha udbhavam egam. The momentum, the intensity that arises, udbhava means arising from kama and krodha. If we can bear with it, handle it with certain skill, then yukta, we are integrated, we are happy also. Shaknoti utsahate. Shaknoti means he is capable. Utsahate means he is managing to do it. Jivan eva is the meaning of iha eva, while alive. Till last breath of our life, this could be a challenge. Therefore, till we are alive, as long as we are alive, the effort should be on to restrain habitual urges. Let us do things out of understanding, not out of mere habit. Sodum prasahitum prak purvam sharira vimokshana. Interestingly, sahadhatu with pra upasarga becomes prasahitum. But without upasarga, that pra saha becomes sodum. Just as vaha becomes vodum, to carry something, to bear some weight. Vaha, vodum. Saha becomes sodum, but prasahitum. Little grammar. Purvam sharira vimokshana. Marana ityartha. Shankaracharya says before death. Before death, achieve this. Before death, arrive at a high degree of skill in dealing with thoughts and emotions rising within you. Just as in the context of speech also, we need to develop a skill to hold back a word which is about to slip from our tongue. If it had slipped, it would have caused problems for others and us. So as we realize, I'm going to say something and then we realize it's not good to say, we hold back. So speech is another powerful tendency. We feel like saying something, we just say it and then regret. Here the focus especially is on pleasure. Marana Sima Karanam, making Marana as the Sima, the limit or the deadline. Before you die, arrive at a high degree of skill. This is said. Marana Sima Karanam, why is it done? Jivataha avashyam bhavi kamakrodo bhavaha vegaha. This momentum that builds up when desire or anger arises in our bosom is a matter which does not stop just because you cross 70 or 80. Till you die, avashyam bhavi. They are bound to be there. Ananta nimittavan savegaha. That momentum, that intensity, that sudden high energy that this desire or anger gathers. Just a while ago it was so small. Like tornadoes or hurricanes, tempests or cyclones, we hear they are slow, then they build up, then they are so huge, then they uproot trees, they flood an area with rivers and the ocean coming over to the land. And various factors could be behind them, whatever it is. Yavat Maranam, till we are alive, it's our responsibility to be on guard. Tavat na visrambhaniya. Sram means to cling, to rest secure. Someplace it may mean sram means to be confident. That means to trust someone. So he should not trust this rising wave of desire. Na visrambaniya. Do not cling to these. Do not embrace them. Do not trust them. Rather, question them. Hey, why is this thought rising in? Like in the context of speech. Why is this word coming up? Is it all right to say this in front of these two people? Etc. And when we question it, we are already on the way to getting control over it. What is kamaha? Indriya gochara prapte ishte vishaye shruyamane smaryamane va. Either we actually see or hear, all the five sense organs can come in contact. Or we hear about, somebody describes some wonderful pleasure as awaiting us at some other place. So we hear, we are not, our senses are not directly in contact with them, but a report is given to us. Such and such enjoyment is available over there. We can go, come, we are going, join us. An invitation comes our way. Shruyamane or Smaryamane. You are passing through some part of the city, and you remember, wait a minute, was it not at this place that we had eaten such delicious food last time? I think that restaurant is here. Remembering, when did you go last time? Oh, I don't come very often to this city. 7 years ago, I was in this city, and now again I have come. But 7 years ago, my uncle had taken me to a place over here. One says, oh my God, 7 years have passed, and the memory of a pleasure enjoyed that time is still pulling you down. That's how memories are very strong. Smaryamani, upon being remembered, anubhute sukha hutau, it sukha hetau. So something had given you pleasure, happiness, and you had experienced it, anubhuta. But that upon being heard, or upon being remembered, or upon being seen right in front of you, what can happen is the gardihi. Gardihi means certain longing, trishna, certain thirst, sakamaha. Krodha is atmanaha pratikuleshu, dukkha hetushu, dashyamaneshu, shruyamaneshu, smaryamaneshu. He puts all the three. Either you, right in front of you, see something or somebody who had caused unhappiness to you in a certain past episode, and you get angry. This is the man who spoke so negatively of me. This is the lady who went round the town and gossiped against me, and so on. So you see the lady right in front of you. Drishyamaneshu, Shruyamaneshu, you hear about them. Smaryamaneshu, Dukkha Hetushu. For remembering that, Yo Dveshaha, you get very angry. That is Krodha. Tau Kama Krodau Udbhavaha Yasya Vegasya. That momentum has risen from these Kama and Krodha. Therefore, Kama Krodha Udbhava, rising from. So be careful. How do we know that a certain momentum is building up in us? And there are signs. There are physical signs. Romanchana, or hair may stand on their ends. Prahrishta netra vadanadi linga. Linga means the sign, the mark. The mark that you should look for is netra vadana, eyes or the whole face light up as though or swell in some anticipation. Antakarana prakshobha rupa. Shankara turns a psychologist here, describing human behavior outwardly on the face or in the eyes or inwardly in antakarana, within oneself. There is an agitation that is kamodbhava, rising from desire. There can be agitation rising from anger too. He separately explains it. Gatra prakampa. When we get angry and that anger is rising more and more, we start trembling. Gatra prakampa. Prasveda. We may start sweating. Sandashtaushta. Sandashta oshta. Oshta is lips. In anger, we may start biting our lips. I will not spare him. I am going to do something. Biting, sandashta. Dashta itself, danshana, dashana, is biting with teeth. So, biting one's lips, one is getting angry. Oshtaputa, the two lips. Rakta netradi linga. Eyes become rakta. Rakta here means red. Red eyes. These are the lingas. These are the marks of the momentum of anger. Krodha vega. There is kama vega. There is krodha vega also. So that is kama krodhodbhavo vega. Tam kama krodhodbhavam vegam. Yaha utsahate prasahate. Sodum prasahitum. Sayuktaha yogi sukhi jaya loke naraha. In this world, if you want happiness, that is what you must do. Not just collect more wealth and imagining that you will have happiness. Happiness is when we handle our thoughts and emotions better, when we deal with our senses more maturely, then happiness is guaranteed. Continuing, Acharya Shankara says, Katham bhutascha brahmani sthitaha brahma prapnoti. How does one attain Brahma? Arriving at what kind of state of mind? It is answered, Yontas sukhontararamah tathantar jyotireva yaha sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhutodhigacchati. Yaha antas sukha antararama. Just a while ago, much was said about people who look for happiness outside in sense pleasures. Now, in contrast, there are these wiser people who have their happiness antaha, inside. Antaha or antar in Sanskrit becomes andar in Hindi. Those who have their happiness andar, inside. Antasukha. Happiness is inside them. Antararama, they repose inside them. Antarjyoti, they see light, not outside, but within their own bosom. They behold certain radiance inside. Worldly people are much charmed by the lights in shopping mall, on some street, both sides are well lit, some music is on. These worldly people get very excited. Sometimes they don't want to return home. They want to just go up and down such a decorated street with lights and music and so on, enjoying it out so much. Well, that is not very wise. As you get wise, one of the signs is you recognize, oh, this place is so beautiful, made very pretty by these decorations. But my happiness really inside. So if something took you to the market and you take a look at it, appreciate it, but you don't hang on there, you don't continue or linger there. You come back and you begin your study, your meditation. Antar Jyoti, such a person rightly called yogi. yogi is well united with the inner truth. Brahma Nirvanam Adhigacchati. Attains liberation. Liberation is called Brahma Nirvana because it is Brahma itself and it is Nirvana. It is moksha. Nirvana means when all urges, all these extrovert urges take a back seat, letting you stay in peace. Brahma Bhutaha, he becomes Brahma. Adhigacchati, attains. Yaha Antasukha, Bhashya says, Antaha means Atmani, Sukham Yasya Saha Antasukha, Tatha Antareva Aramaha, Saha Antar Arama. Simple words. Antareva Jyotihi, Atmani Eva Jyoti. Light of lights is in him or her, and she beholds it. And then it is said, Jyoti is Prakasha, Yaha Idrashaha, Sa Yogi, and that yogi, Brahma Nirvanam, Adhigacchati. Brahmani Nirvriti. Brahma Nirvana involves the turning within and stationing oneself, anchoring oneself. And Nirvriti means not Nivritti. Nivritti is retirement, but Nirvriti is supreme happiness. So she finds her happiness in Brahma, Brahmani Nirvritim, and that is moksha. And this idea is expressed in yet another verse, Labhante Brahma Nirvanam Rishayah Kshina Kalmashaha Chinnadvaidha Yatatmanah Sarvabhuta Hite Rataha. Labhante Brahma Nirvanam. Word Brahma Nirvana is coming second time. 24 and now 25 also. Those people attain moksha. They are rishis. They are mantra drashta. They have such a vision. They have such an understanding which surpasses ordinary understanding. Kshina kalmasha. The thing is, their impurities have come down. Like Atma Bodha begins with the shloka. Tapobihi kshina papa. Those whose sinful tendencies have come down thanks to the tapas, sadhanas that they have performed, they have been performing. Chinna Dvaidha. Dvaidha here means samshaya. Chinna Khatchasanda. All their doubts, which at one time used to prevent them from spiritual unfolding, are gone now. Chinna Dvaidha. Yatatmanaha. How many times Gita talks about control, restraint of senses, of organs of action, Sarvabhuta Hiterata. And never imagine these people are doing a lot of spiritual sadhana, all selfishly for their own happiness. So, in spirituality, the division between others and us goes away. As we turn inward and are happy within, like corollary follows a theorem, we necessarily, there's no other possibility, are kinder to others, more understanding to others, more helping towards them. Therefore, not just Manushya, to all forms of life, these people become very, very kind, interested in the latter's happiness. Thus, Labante, they get Brahma Nirvana, Moksha. Who are Rishis? Rishayaha is said here. A few places in the Gita we find this word Rishi. Don't say Prime Minister of United Kingdom. Rishi Sunak. No. Yes, he has taken the name from Bhagavad Gita. His parents might have named him Rishi. There is a well-known word for sage, for a visionary. originally in the spiritual context, but some rishis had great vision in other sciences also, astronomy, astrology, and many other sciences. So these days, in the new education policy, in the attempt of the present central government to expose Indians to their own Indian heritage, they have introduced what is coming to be known as IKS, Indian Knowledge Systems. Indian Knowledge Systems. Because whole lot of Indians receive Western education and they are rather surprisingly ignorant of what India had found in medicine or in engineering or in science or in psychology or in yoga, in hundreds of fields, hundreds of fields. So there is a word, a buzzword, IKS seminars, conferences are being held. Universities are offering subjects now in IKS. A former vice chancellor of a university and a present professor of IIM Bangalore, Professor Mahadevan. He was the first vice chancellor of Chinmaya University too, then came back to IIM. He and two other authors have brought out a whole book of 1,000 pages, Indian knowledge systems. And they talk about numerous subjects, physics and maths and chemistry and economics and astronomy, astrology, mathematics, of course, a number of subjects, science, engineering, all of them are looked at from Indian knowledge systems. Sankhya and Yoga, Vedanta and Purvamimamsa, Nyaya and Vaisheshika, Buddhism, Jainism, all these are of Indian origin. Then they spread everywhere. And they have, apart from guidance in spiritual matters, they have much to say about what this universe is, how we may look at this universe, what it is made of, what are the components that bring this universe into existence, whether 5 elements or 24 factors, the Chaturvimshati Tattvani of Sankhya philosophy. And Patanjali's yoga has so much to say about kinds of thoughts, kinds of disturbances, ways and means of how the mind, chitta, can be controlled, and so on. And in the Vedas, in certain uh, portions of Kalpa, which is a Vedanga, there are many shlokas or mantras talking about mathematical formula. It is said a certain Shulba Sutra had given the so-called Pythagoras theorem on that. And some other mantra of some Vedic portion has talked about the value of pi, the ratio of circumference to the diameter of a circle. So countless things have been talked about. In Bhagavad Geetā also, surprising statements are made. A day of Brahma is equal to some 1,000 years of human beings. So relativity of time. Time is not one for everyone, depending on your level of consciousness. Time that you perceive can be different. Your time and somebody else's time are not a single axis. So, all this is called Indian knowledge systems. So it is said the yogis go higher and higher. Chinnadvaidaha yatatmana with good control. Sarva bhuta hitera. That's where this came. As one is rising in consciousness, one of course is happier than ever before, but one also is contributing to the well-being of others. Lastly, one more verse for today. Kama krodha viyuktanam yatinam yatachetasam abhito brahma nirvanam vartate viditatmanam. After explaining sarvabhuta hite rataha as sarvesham bhutanam hite rataha, sarvesham bhuta hite anukulye rataha. Things should be favorable to everyone. May people get rains at the right time. Kale varshatu parjanya. All that is meant by sarvabhuta hite rataha. After saying that, Sri Krishna says, if we are free from the onslaught of desire and anger, then we can become yati. Yati is one who has practiced and achieved yama or sanyama. Sanyama is control, which is called sanyama elsewhere. And one who has yama is yati. All comes from the root yam. Yadachetasam, their senses as well as chetas, their mind is under control. Abhito means both ways, outside and inside. Somewhere abhito can mean right in front. But here abhitaha, Shankaracharya himself says, ubhayataha, both ways, outside and inside. In their case, there is moksha. There is moksha in all splendor in their life. Vartate viditatmana. There is Brahma Nirvana, moksha, liberation. There is liberation in these people who vidita atma, who know their own true nature. Acharya Shankara explains quickly. Kincha kamakrodha viyuktanam, that is kamascha krodascha kamakrodha, tabhyam viyuktanam, freed from the periodic attack of desire or anger, is yatis who are yata chetasa sanyata antakaranana, abhitaha, ubhayataha, from both sides. One is inside and outside. Or Bhashyakara says, ubhayataha means jivatam mritanam cha. When they are alive, they are happy. When they die also, the soul attains liberation. Thus it merges with supreme, all-pervasive bliss. Viditatmana. It is said, Viditaha jnataha atma yesha. Those who know Atma, tesham viditatmana samyak darshina. Shankara is very fond of this expression. Samyak darshi. One who sees things as they are, rather than projecting one's own imagination on objects. We don't see anybody as he is. We see the image we have of his. He doesn't see us as we are either. He sees an image that he has of us. Either way problem. Thus, we are not samyak darshi. We don't see things rightly. We see things wrongly and then everything goes wrong after. Samyak darshina. Ityartha. Thus, we are left with three more verses in this 5th chapter. We will see them in the last class on this chapter in the next week, where Sri Krishna, on one hand, winds up the need for preparing ourselves for the greater, higher flights of the Upanishadic wisdom, and this chapter closes with a beautiful line, how we must look at God. Look at God as your own friend. Look at God, who is the recipient of all your good work, all your offerings, wherever, whenever. God is the presiding factor. If you understand God and His glory, you will attain peace, promises Shri Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.